start off, a simple question is, what inspired you to become a chef?
Just always liked to cook.
Yeah.
Started off in a restaurant and ended up here maybe 10 years ago.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's good. So, what age were you when you decided, like, this is what I'm going to do for a living?
You know what? I was probably about 18, 19 years old.
Okay. And did you go to culinary school around here?
I did. Yeah. I went to South College downtown.
Okay,
Yeah. It's 3 years.
that's good.
Which program did you do?
It's a food service restaurant.
So altogether, you've been working in the industry since school, or you've done other things as well?
Even before school.
Okay.
Before school, I had started working in a breakfast restaurant. And that's where I decided I wanted to go to cooking school.
That's interesting. So, in a few words, what would you say to us it takes to become a good chef?
So you can to get a job in because this is a big place. Like
Yeah.
how many
Yeah, it's very big.
banquet halls?
We serve, we seat about 1,200 people.
Okay.
We have 7 halls, and we do catering, outside catering. So
Okay.
on a weekend, we could serve any
Tons and
number.
tons of people.
Yeah, and they're always several courses. We don't. It's rare. We'll have a banquet and it's one course. It's always 3, 4 courses. So they have 1,000 people times 3, 4 courses. Even at 3 courses, still 3,000 dishes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can't 3,000 dishes. You think, oh, like, geez, you have 100 staff. No, we're still 7, 8 guys.
Wow.
It's a lot of dishes to go through your hands.
That's true. I was just here for a wedding actually, and there was 400 people, and there was, and now that I think of it, there was like 4 courses, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one room, man. It's
Yeah.
on 3 floors.
It's true, eh?
It's
That's a lot of work. So, what does a typical day look like for you when you come in?
you know, at the beginning of the week, I do all my schedules, my inventories, and do all my purchasing, all my orders, beginning of the week. And come, depending on the day, I have banquet. Depends on the days that I have banquets. We do corporate work during the week, so sometimes we have meetings, breakfast, lunches. So I schedule my staff accordingly, and as people start coming in, I assign the tasks and
Okay.
we get started, and it goes on like that all week. We have orders coming in every day. There's, vegetables, stuff like that come in almost every day.
So, where do you guys normally get your ingredients from? Like locally, like farms, like let's say Jean Talon Market, or a distributor?
You know what? When I have time, I like to go to the market. I don't
Okay.
always have time. In the
Right.
summertime, I do have a bit more. But other than that, I use local purveyors, different suppliers. I have a variety of suppliers that I use.
So, what's your kind of like attitude in the kitchen? Like, are you more of like a Ramsay type of cook, or like a more like calmer?
Not at all. I'm actually very calm, and
Okay.
I'm very team oriented. It's very important for
Right.
me that everybody works together, and I want my people to do everything. So they'll do from A to Z.
Right.
So you get to learn a lot. It's also very challenging because sometimes you end up doing things you don't want to do, but everybody gets to do them, and
That's it.
we all help each other that way.
Right. That's good. So, what's your motivation to keep coming into work every day?
I still love cooking. So I keep coming, man. I always say it. I say, as long as I love what I do and cooking, I'm going to keep coming back when I don't love it anymore. This is not one of those things that you could do if you don't like it.
That's what we keep hearing. It's not one of those like just float by kind of careers.
No. Because it shows in the product that you put out.
Right. Exactly.
And it'll reflect, and your clients will tell you.
Sure. What's something in the kitchen that you can't live without? Like a tool or a piece of equipment or something like that you use every day.
Tool I use every day. You learn to work with, some people it's a knife. For me, it's my hands. My hands are my most important tool. You
That's
use
true.
them for everything, and There's no like one piece of it. You know what?
Yeah,
we
it's
do
true.
everything. Like we do butchery, we do bakery, we make pizza, we do everything. So we touch so many things that there's not one particular thing to say.
Right. So we've heard that some halls like get, let's say, their cakes shipped, like they get them ordered, but you guys do everything here.
We try to do as much as possible in house. So I keep my staff. I can control my quality.
Right.
And I keep people around here working, and that's important for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's hard to find good people. They say like, like a lot of the banquet halls work 1 day a week. It's hard to find good people to work 1 day a week.
Right.
So if I could provide work for them 5, 6, 7 days a week, and then I have better staff, better qualified people, and I can control my output, my quality, and what we're putting out. Whereas if I'm buying it, I'm dependent on them. Because whether you pay really expensive for a really good product or you pay cheap for a lesser quality, this way
You know what you're getting.
yeah, that's good.
So when you guys do outside catering, what are the challenges you see sometimes?
When you get there, you don't know what you're gonna have.
Right.
So sometimes you get there and there's absolutely nothing, whereas other times you get there and you have loads to work with. But we're of the philosophy that we're going there expecting to have nothing, so we bring everything. You try to overpack, and then if you don't need it, well, you just have to bring it back. Whereas if you're missing something, you're screwed when you're
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want that. So this might be hard but like, let's say you're having an event here. What's one of the most popular dishes people usually request?
there. Most popular is probably like a filet mignon.
Okay. What do you like cooking best?
I love working with meat, all meats. That's what I do mostly. Is I
Okay.
take care of all the meats, and I buy whole pieces of meat and we butcher them from beginning to end. We portion them. I don't buy portion steaks or portion anything. We do all that here, and
Okay.
that's part of, like I said,
The
keep
job.
people working.
Yeah. I guess this is like, depending on how many parties you have going on or what you're catering, you obviously prepare accordingly.
Yeah.
So,
Everything I buy or do is already sold.
yeah,
So everything is counted, everything is calculated, and
Okay.
we prepare accordingly.
right. Is there any time when it's like dead and there's no parties going on, or is it usually always busy around here?
It's pretty much always busy. I mean, like Mondays are less busy,
Right.
but it's not because of parties.
Prep.
You start with other things. That's when we do our inventories, our purchasing's done, and you kind of put everything back to where it belongs and start over. Those are the
Okay.
less busy days, let's say, but there's still
You're
lots
still
to
here
do.
working and doing stuff. So, have you ever had a party or done an event that it went so bad, and how did you deal with it if it did?
Parties that went really bad.
Like, if anything bad happened.
I mean, these banquets are they're contracts that are decided, months in advance. And it's happened that something was forgotten on the contract, and if I don't know about it, I
Yeah, it's not.
can't make
yeah.
it. And then last minute they, come to you and say, "Well, you forgot this." But if I didn't have it on the contract, I can't do it. I can't
Right.
guess. But stuff like that has happened. I mean, when you're dealing with so many people, there's the salesmen, there's the people that take care of all the details. And it's a long process. So sometimes along the way, stuff gets forgotten by
Right.
accident, and you try to do the best of what you got, and you try to accommodate them as much as possible.
Right.
But it does happen.
So we've been told through, since we started school, that if you're in it for the career, for the money aspect, then you're not in the right field, kind of thing. Like, you have to be here because you're passionate about it. So, do you have any advice, or have you experienced moving up in the industry in terms of salary wise?
Yeah, you could. It's not impossible,
Right.
but it's not what you see on TV. That's
Exactly.
everybody watches the Food Network and all these things, and they make it seem so glamorous.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
everybody knows everything about cooking now because of these things, and 20 years ago, nobody knew half of the things because they weren't exposed to it. Now everybody's exposed to it, so everybody's an expert. It makes it that much more challenging. But to be famous and stuff like that is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's a long process, and this is the type of career that you have to build over a long period of time, and you keep trying to improve and evolve and better yourself in order to get to that level.
Right.
eventually you get there, but it takes a long time. You know, the ones you see, the young guys that you see on TV, it was kind of like being at the right place at the right time. Kind of like winning the 649.
Yeah, for sure.
They just had the face for it, and somebody saw them, and it
Happens.
happens, and they made them who they are. But then it's not real. It's not reality because you know, working in a lot of these places, when you work for people like that, they treat you like you're nobody.
Yeah.
You want to work with me, you're gonna get paid nothing. You're gonna do what I tell you, because you're there to learn, and you're gonna do it.
Right.
And if you don't want to do it, well, then you ain't gonna get to put my name on your CV.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, it
way.
makes sense though.
But that's the reality of the
Yeah,
industry.
that's true.
So you got to be able to accept that part of it.
That's true. So in terms of hiring staff, what's your process normally? Like
You know, I collect their CV and everything, ask questions, interview process, but those things are easy. I make them come here and work 2-3 days, and that's where I know whether they can work, whether they really it's true what they say they know, and whether it's not.
right,
Because you'll see it in action right away.
like what's written on paper isn't necessarily what you're gonna.
You could have been a chef 20 years and still can't cook rice.
Exactly. Do you have a preference of where the person comes from? Like, let's say a school over another.
No, but I think it's important that they have the school because you have the basics and you have the understanding. You understand the basic principles that go behind what we do, and you understand why we do things a certain way.
And how do you normally? You said you like give everyone a job, or how do you normally organize the staff?
You get to know your staff, and I use my staff for their strengths.
Okay.
And there are certain people that are better at certain things, and that's what I try to use. I use them for their strengths and not their weaknesses.
Right.
So
That makes sense.
I have enough people so that everybody gets to the stuff gets done at the end of the day, and that's what matters.
Right. So nowadays, is it hard to find like really good quality cooks to come to work? Yeah.
It's not easy. It's because in our industry, in the banquet industry, people have a general misconception of what a banquet hall serves and the type of meals they put
Okay.
out. I think it's very generic, very bland, very boring. But customers have become so demanding that it's not like that. You know, we could put out 1,000 meals just like a restaurant can, whereas 15 years ago it wasn't the case. You know, what you get at a reception hall is very run-of-the-mill, very ordinary, very
It's true.
blah, I guess you could say. Now it's not like that anymore.
So it's tough, and you need people that are going to work hard, obviously.
Yeah, you need people that are going to put out the kind of product that clients are asking for these days.
So what made you decide to go into the banquet industry rather than restaurants?
You know, when I worked here as a kid, as a waiter and busboy, and I always liked it. And eventually, when I went into cooking, I was working in different restaurants, and I ended up coming back here. I got a job here, working in the kitchen. And the same year that I started, this place went up for sale.
Wow.
And I ended up buying into it. The rest is history,
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly. So can you say that like the chefs at a banquet versus a restaurant have like a different attitude, or it's all
Completely different.
completely different? So
It has
what's
nothing. They're nowhere near the same thing.
What do you say is
we
the
both
difference?
we both cook, but it's not the same thing.
okay?
You know, there's people that are fantastic chefs. They can make one dish, but they can't make 150 of the same dish.
Right.
And that's the difference between them and us. We cook different ways. You can't cook for 1,000 people in a saute pan.
Right.
It just doesn't happen. It's not possible. You could do it, but they're not going to eat at the same time. If
Yeah,
you're cooking,
it's
you know what I mean? Even if you
Yeah.
had 10 saute pans going, it's not logical. So you have to work a different way. You have to have other techniques and different equipment, and you have to be able to use some of the equipment that I have. Nobody has. It's enormous. It's huge. You're never going to see it in a restaurant. But that's what we do.
It's true.
You know, like I have a bandsaw like a butcher shop has. You're never going to see that in a restaurant. I have an 8-quart brazier. It's huge. Size of the bar. I mean, you're not going to find those kind of equipment, and a lot of people never work with it. These are like industrial
Right.
equipment. You know, it has its purpose, and you have to be able to work with stuff like that. The other thing is, between this and a restaurant, I'm not sitting here waiting for people to walk in.
Right, you know what's happening.
I know what's happening. I know what's coming. I know what's sold. So if I'm not prepared, it's my fault.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. I didn't think of it that way, but it's completely different in that sense.
Completely.
So, have you ever had an experience where, let's say, you have a party of 500 people and then it gets canceled, or only 200 show up,
Yeah.
and then
It happens.
everything is just
Try to make the best, but that's part of what we do too. We try to recycle. We try to, like, that's why I butcher my own meat. So the trimmings, I can make stocks and I can make stuffings, and I can, that's part of why I have a staff. If I didn't have that staff and they were only here that one day a week, well, that stuff would all end up in the garbage. It's all wasted.
So, outside of work, what's your favorite kind of food to have or make?
You know what? I like eating completely different things. I don't go out often, but when I do, I take a lot of time in researching where I'm gonna go, and I just really want to eat well, and I don't mind how expensive it is, not for the money. I just want to eat something that I don't normally eat.
Right.
And because we prepare so many things, I don't want to eat the same thing, and I don't want to eat, we make all kinds of things. When I go to a restaurant, I want it to be better than what I do.
Yeah.
I want to be wow.
I feel like a lot of chefs that we spoke to, or chefs that we work with at school, tell us we usually eat at home because we know we can prepare a good meal. At some restaurants, you're not going to get that
No.
nowadays.
No,
You
you're
know,
not.
so
That's the most upsetting thing for me is to go to a restaurant and I'm totally disappointed
Yeah.
because it was straight out of the freezer or
Yeah.
straight out of a box, and you're
why do
really?
I could do this better at my house.
there's no point. It's like,
Yeah, for sure. So we've heard this takes a toll on your personal life if you have a family and stuff like that. So how do you balance?
it's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's tough, but the people that you're with and the people that you surround yourself with have to understand what you do.
For sure.
This is not something that I don't want to say it's not my priority, but at the same, I have 3 kids. My family is always going to be my priority, but I live here.
Right.
I spend more time with these 4 walls than I do with my family. But that's the unfortunate reality.
Yeah.
Every
Sure.
Saturday, I'm here. I don't go to weddings, I don't go to birthdays, I don't go to anything. Because there's 1,000 people here that are dependent on me.
For sure.
So,
You know what you're getting yourself into. in this industry, I
when you
guess.
start this, you have to realize what you're getting yourself into.
Right.
It's and they
Yes.
have, like I said, your family has to be able to accept that.
For sure.
So you're never closed, right? Even if there's no function?
We close Christmas Eve.
Oh,
One day a year. So what kind of stuff do you do outside of work to kind of release the stress at the
I
end of the
play
day?
with my kids.
Yeah? I'm sure that's fun after being here all day. So do you see yourself continuing here for the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years, or you have another plan after this?
5 to 10 years? 5 years for sure.
Okay.
After that,
You.
let's see. We keep expanding, and we've expanded a lot in the last couple of years, and at one point we're going to run out of space, so
Right.
we have to move on to bigger and better things.
Wouldn't be the worst thing. So just to conclude, what would you tell us as people just starting off to focus on, and what advice would you give us going forward?
You need to, you just have to be sure of what you want. And if this is the road that you want to take, don't let people sway you in that. There's so many shortcuts that are going to be offered to you. There's so many ways to cheat. It's not worth it in the end. You have to be proud of what you do. I want to be able, the work that I do, I want to be able at night after I finish, I want to be able to go out into the hall and hold my head up high. I don't want to be afraid of what I put out.
For sure.
That's what's hard. That's the hard part. I don't want to, there's restaurants that you go to and you'll never see the chef because he's embarrassed or I don't know, just
Not at all.
he's not proud of
Yeah, exactly.
what he puts out, and that's the hard part. It's to put out something that you're proud of. And you can't cheat to do that. You
And
can't.
there's no easy way in this field.
Nah, there's no easy way. You really gotta put the time and effort into it, and it pays off in the end. But
Right.
it's a long road. It's a journey.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And do you have anything else you want to ask?
Well, just for my own personal, it doesn't have to be part of the interview.